I'm so excited to do this book review. I have so much planned to talk about. Hi beautiful people, hi beautiful person. My name is Andre, aka Anita Betty, aka Anyambura, and today I want to do a book review. The book is called The Book Thief. Yeah. It's written by Markus Zusak. Yeah. Make sure to comment or like another person's comment or comment on another person's comment so that we can have these conversations going within our community and within our families. I hope you enjoy this review, and if you've read this book, make sure to let me know in the comment section. Yeah, so I will start with reading the synopsis. This is the tale of the book thief as narrated by Death, and when Death tells a story, you really have to listen. It's just a small story, really, about, amongst other things, a girl, an accordionist, some fanatical Germans, a Jewish fist fighter, and quite a lot of thievery. Yeah. To say the truth, this is a very hard read, and you have to intentionally read it slowly because it is narrated by Death, and death is quite a hard topic to talk about even within our families, our communities, especially now in Africa. Death has become almost like a taboo topic to talk about, so you would wonder why I'm telling you to read this book. If you are depressed or going through any emotional hard time, I will not recommend you to start reading this book. I will first tell you to heal from what you're going through, and then you can read this book. I made a mistake the other day when I was thinking about reading this book and started to read it again. I was not ready. What I was going through, I had to take super long breaks, and I was even wondering what was going on in my life. Company this book I was reading. The reason I think it is very important to read this book, it's because death, as much as it is a hard topic to talk about, it is a rite of passage. The way I see it and the way I was taught is, this is back in primary school. A person is born, so birth is a rite of passage, and then there is initiation to youth, and then there is marriage, and then there is death. From birth, not many people make it through the middle parts of initiation, but death is usually a result of life. So it is, if anybody is birthed into this world, it's a hard thing to know, and it is a hard thing to talk about now, but there's this rite of passage which is called death, and it doesn't have to be a taboo topic in our communities and in our families and in our continent, because people actually celebrate other people's lives. We find communities that who celebrate a person's life even for 2 weeks. It's a bash out there. If you know, you know. I don't know why I'm laughing. Maybe I'm stressed because it's actually a stressful topic to talk about. In the modern world, actually, we've seen a change of how the rites of passage look like. Ceremonies like graduation have become a rite of passage. Ceremonies like retirement has become a rite of passage, and they seem to be filling in as rites of passage. The thing I loved about this book when I read it the first time, it's how the writer, Markus, uses a very simple language to explain the environment, to paint a picture of every incident that's happening. The main person in the story, it's a girl called Lisel Meminga. We find her when she's 9 years old, and we meet her at a time in Germany where she comes of age during a war. Yeah. So basically we meet her when she's 9 years old, and we go through her life as narrated by Death until she's of age, and then when she's old and how she grows old. Her mother takes her to a foster family who takes care of her, and then happenings of life happen. There's a war, there's tension in Germany, and the writer really, every day by day, the writer really expresses himself very well, and as a reader you enjoy painting these pictures as they come and go in your brain. Yeah, so it's quite a simple read. Another thing I loved about this book is the writer uses a lot of foreshadow. So even as you read the very first pages, as you progress through the story, you already know what will happen. You already are expecting what will happen. Huko mbele. It won't be as a shock to you. You're already expecting it. And I think it was a perfect way to tell the story, since also Death has its own way of foreshadowing itself. Is that even a name? The hard thing about the story is that you find yourself in a relationship with Death. As you read through this book, since the main character is 9 years old, you pause to meditate about how Death introduced itself to you as a person, or even to somebody else, and you find that Death has a way of introducing themselves to people from a very young age somehow. Let me read a few phrases so that you can see what I've been talking about. Oh, something else is, if you love reading books, you're totally gonna enjoy this read, because this is a story about a girl who really loved books, that she stole them or they happened to come by her way and she took advantage of that. But it's a story about a girl who was in love with books, and that defined her life. Yeah, let me read. So this is when Lisel, the main character, met with the foster father. To most people, Hans Haberman was barely visible, an unspecial person. Certainly, his skills were excellent. His music ability was better than average. Somehow, though, and I'm sure you've met people like this, he had the ability to appear in the background, even if he was standing at the front of a queue. He was always just there, not noticeable, not important or particularly valuable. The frustration of that appearance, as you can imagine, has its complete misleadings. Let's say there most definitely was value in him, and it did not go unnoticed by Lisel Meminga. She saw it immediately. His manner, the quiet air around him. When he turned the light on in his small colorless washroom that night, Lisel observed the strangeness of her foster father's eyes. They were made of kindness and silver, like soft silver, melting. Lisel, upon seeing those eyes, understood that Hans Haberman was worth a lot. This is how Death creates a personal relationship with the reader. Now for a change of scenery. We've both had it too easy till now, my friend. Don't you think? How about we forget mulching for a minute or two? It will do us some good. Also, it's important to the story. We will travel a little to a secret storage room and we will see what we see. Okay. Another phrase. Death also starts making jokes with you. During the war and they were burning the Jews' books. This is death telling us about that night. Personally, I can only tell you that no one died from it, or at least not physically. There was, of course, the matter of 40 million people I picked up by the time the whole thing was finished, but that's getting all metaphoric. Allow me to return us to the fire. See, a very uncomfortable relationship with death. The first time I read this book and I made it through to the end, the first thing I felt was I was thanking myself for putting myself in such an uncomfortable position. It made me realize that I had such hard conversations with myself, which I would have probably not had with anybody around me at that time, at least. Two words that came from it are emotional intelligence and emotional resilience. The definition of emotional intelligence is it's the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. The definition of emotional resilience is it refers to one's ability to adapt to stressful situations or crises. More resilient people are able to roll with the punches and adapt to adversity without lasting difficulties. Less resilient people have a harder time with stress and life changes, both major and minor. I found out that when the hard conversations I was having with the book made me fast forward my life to when I get older, and with the knowledge that death is still around, a person is able to make decisions around it. Growth is not comfortable, and I think this book teaches us that also so is emotional growth. Emotional growth is not comfortable as well. Yeah, so I think when you have these hard conversations, as death narrates to you a story that you love or you love to hate, you come to conclusions of how much a gift life is. Yeah, you come to conclusion of how much a gift life is, and you start to review yourself and how you show up in your community, the relationships you have with your parents, with your family, with your friends. Maybe you want to show up more consciously because you know life is a gift. That's my first book review. Have you read this book? Make sure to tell me in the comment section. Would you want to read this book? Tell me, and let's leave a comment and let's talk about these things that happen in our community, so they are not a taboo topic. We should easily be talking about these things within ourselves so that when it actually happens, it's not so stressful at that time. It's a little bit less stressful. Yeah, less stressful. It's still gonna be stressful, but at least when that time comes, it's a little bit less stressful. So, yeah, and guess what? They've made it into a film. I hope this video has been enlightening to you. I love you. Thank you for clicking. Bye. See you in the next one.